Hey, this is Artie Astor from B Sharp and C, doing another episode of Remembering the 90s, and I'm really beginning to have a lot of fun doing this. Do you remember this song from the 90s?
So long ago, I don't remember when. That's when they say I lost my only friend. Well, they said she died easy of a broken heart disease. As I listened through the cemetery trees. I seen the sun coming up at the funeral at dawn of the long broken arm of human law. Now it always seemed such a waste. She always had a pretty face. I wondered why she hung around this place. Hey, come on, try to let go. Nothing is forever. There's got to be something better than in the middle. Me and Cinderella put it all together. We can drive it home with one headlight. She said it's cold.
All right, so let me just stop it for a second because there's really a lot going on here. First of all, Jacob Dylan wrote the song. It was not written by his father and then given to him as a gift. In the 90s, I think the song came out in 97. I could be wrong. And what's interesting about this is that the Wallflowers started in 1989. They started in the 80s under, I think they were called the Apples, something like that. And then they took on the name the Wallflowers. This was their sophomore album. Jacob Dylan at that time, I think, was in his late 20s. Um, so when other people in the 90s were coming onto the scene, like Sheryl Crow, well, although Sheryl Crow, I believe, was older than some of the other ones. But you had like Fiona Apple and other musicians coming out in the 90s. Jacob Dylan was a little older than most of them. And from what I understand, so was Sheryl Crow. Um, Sarah McLachlan also, she was older. You know, the 90s was just such an amazing period of time because you had people that were coming onto the scene that were new, that were young, and you had people who had been struggling for a while, had been putting out albums and didn't have a lot of success, and then they got success. And I really do believe it was because there was a period in the 90s where just good songwriting became accepted and appreciated, and it was something that actually got people recognition, was the fact that they could write a good song. There was a lot of focus on actual songwriting. Jacob Dylan wrote this song, and there was a big rumor that his dad wrote it and gave it to him. Um, Jacob Dylan is just an amazing songwriter, and this song here has everything. Has everything. Just for no reason at all, just in the middle of some verse, a couple taps on a hi hat, and then they don't go back to it anymore. Um, Lot going on with the background organ. Sounds like a Hammond, but it might not be. Um, a lot of chord changes, and that's something that I've noticed about Jacob Dylan's songwriting is that he likes to use a lot of changes. He will sing a lyric, and then before he goes to the next verse, there'll be like three or four chord changes just leading up to the next verse. He likes to throw in a lot of chord changes, and Good chord changes, good chord progressions add so much to a song, and you don't need to sing over them. Chord progressions and chord changes are not wasted because they're just in between verses, you know? That it's music, it's painting in all. It's like putting up a canvas and just giving attention to other areas of the canvas that maybe some people might not stare at right away, but art lovers will appreciate it. And if you're an art lover musically, if you're a music lover and a songwriter lover, you really appreciate Jacob Dylan's songwriting. I could go on and talk about him more, but I'll save that until the end of the video. Let's get back to the song.
Feels like Independence Day, and I can't break away from this parade. But there's got to be an opening somewhere here in front of me through this maze of ugliness and greed. And I seen the sign up ahead at
I
the
love that.
county line bridge saying all is good.
Just listen to that organ, you know? Bands that give attention to background organ know what's up, man. They know what's what.
Somewhere here in front of me through this maze of ugliness and greed. And I seen the sign up ahead at the county line bridge saying all is good and nothingness is dead. We'll run until she's out of breath. She ran until there's nothing left. She hit the end. It's just her window ledge.
That is a Hammond organ.
Come on, child. Nothing is forever. It's got to be something better than in the middle. But me and Cinderella, we put it all together. We could drive it home with one.
And I love how he waits a measure before he says with one headlight. You know, it's when you write a song and you do little things to just make the song sound different. You do a little thing here, you add a little thing here, you're a little bit different over here, a little bit different over there. Those things add up and they make a song spectacular.
Me and Cinderella, we put it all together. We could drive it home with one headlight.
Slide guitar in the left ear.
Well, this place is old. It feels just like a beat up truck. I turn the engine, but the engine doesn't turn. What smells of cheap wine?
So he sings that verse, and it's just listen to what happens. It's just the music changes. It's not a huge change. Something changes though. Then you hear a little boot in the left ear. You know, this is when people gave attention to small details in songs.
Like a beat up truck. I turn the engine, but the engine doesn't turn. What smells of cheap wine? Cigarettes. This place is always such a mess. Sometimes I think I'd like to watch it burn. I'm so alone, and I feel just like somebody.
Feel it, you feel the build up.
Changed, but I know I ain't the same. But somewhere here in between these city walls
Builds up.
and dreams, I think of death. It must
And it builds up a lot. Ready?
Come on, try a little. Nothing is forever. There's got to be something better than in the middle. Me and Cinderella, we put it all together. We can drive it home with one
And now you hear a solo as the song, it's not necessarily a solo, but it's some am I pausing it? I think I paused it. Okay. So Do you remember that song from the 90s? One Headlight by the Wallflowers. Now, I have to say something, and I'm going to come out and say it, and pardon me if I insult anyone. It's not my intention to be insulting when I make these videos, okay? Where are the Wallflowers today? Why aren't they making music? They are. I think they released something in 2024. Let me just type in Wallflowers last album. Exit Wounds 2021. Yesterday I was at work, listening to this album from beginning to end. Fantastic, fantastic, and it almost seems like Jacob Dylan's obsession with just using a lot of chord changes. Um, it grew. It seems like I heard some songs that there was just like three or four chords in a progression just to lead up to a pre-chorus, and so it's just it's really 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 good stuff, but it's not popular today. And we have an oversaturation of music today, but I'll tell you something, we have an oversaturation of crap, because I've heard a lot of people say something along the lines of, man, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, like the 90s, the Wallflowers. They were so good. Where are those bands today? They're still making music today, but no one, it's not featured. It's not like you get in your car and drive to the market and you hear the Wallflowers on the radio. It, it's one of those things that we're kind of being told what's good, and people are selling albums because of their personality, because they're good looking. Do you really think, I mean, and I love certain musicians, okay? I love Dua Lipa. I love Dua Lipa. If she was 80 pounds heavier and just didn't have an attractive face, would she be as famous as she is now? I think we know the answer to that question. So we're selling sex, we're selling beauty, and we're selling personalities. Cardi B, I know she's a stinking Patriots fan, and I should like her. I hate her music, and I'm against with every fiber of my being everything that she represents. I think she's horrible for the music industry and for society. But that's just me. That's how I feel. But that's the stuff that's getting pushed out there. That is the stuff that a lot of people are being told is popular. You have to do tons of digging to find music the way it was written decades ago. But it's out there. It's out there. It's just not featured anymore. A lot of my favorite musicians, they're just not being heard. I didn't even know the Wallflowers had an album in 2021. I didn't know when 2021 came, and that was during COVID. I was stuck in my house all the time, right? Yeah, and I love music. I'm constantly listening, constantly looking for new music. Why didn't I know that the Wallflowers had a new album in 2021 called Exit Wounds? There's just no the attention isn't given. You don't hear it as much. Yes, we have social media. We can go on our phones and flip through, but everything is a 10-second, what's going to grab your attention type of thing. To sit down, light a candle, pour yourself a glass of wine, or if you don't drink, maybe some sparkling water or some tea, and just listening to music and just letting something be absorbed into your heart and soul, that takes too much time. That's too much work, too much thinking. People don't want to do that in 2026, but there's so much music out there, and we just have to fish through all the crap. You have to sift through all the crap to get to what's good. And if you think you've found good music because of the crap that's being spoon fed to us as a society, then you know what? You're lucky. But dig deeper, you'll even find better music. You will find better music. Now, I'm not saying the Wallflowers are the best thing that ever happened. It's just that in the 90s, this especially the song here, but they had like 4 hits in the 90s, you know? Um, in the 90s, these guys were like looked up to as like, wow, they're really good, they're really musical, they're really talented. And then things changed in the 2000s and the 2000 teens. Things changed, and the appreciation for just raw songwriting went out the window. And I'm not saying everyone is against raw songwriting and everyone likes the fluff that's being spoon fed society. And some of that music actually isn't bad. There's a lot of songs by Dua Lipa that I'm like, wow, that's actually pretty good. But for the most part, we're being spoon fed fluff. Uh, I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to stop my stupid rant and go ahead and post this video. I'll probably edit out half the crap I said. But if you remember a band from the 90s and you want me to react to it, put it here in the comment section. I'll be happy to listen to it. Until then, keep it groovy.